So take note 11 ang wala. Yung iba nagpa-swab test, yung iba nagpa-injection, yung iba merong hindi maganda pakiramdam. Okay? So, for this afternoon, we'll be continuing yung project life cycle that we discussed previously. So, we defined already what construction means and the difference between and among construction versus manufacturing. Right? So, as we defined last meeting,
Why? And?
when we differentiate activities involving construction versus manufacturing, we pertain to the way the weather condition, meaning the environmental conditions in general, that affects both this particular different activities. As we all know, construction normally has been exposed to inclement weather, and unlike manufacturing, even though it's raining or dry, still their target is to come up with a particular output that needs with the continuity of their operation. So sa construction, it really feels, mafe-feel yung effect ng environmental condition. The seasonality, meaning as previously been given to you, normally construction has this what you call peak season. Peak season, syempre, because kailangan yung weather condition might not affect activities involving construction. Kaya pag tag-ulan, pagka rainy season, normally the construction activities stop. Plus you arrange nga your name with the screen itself. You start with the last name, then your first name first. So every now and then, dapat you really have to check yung appearance ng name ninyo. Please start with your last name. Okay na? Nice na?
Bakit sa mga jeep, iba-iba yung upstairs?
Ano lang yun, mahal? Cover lang yun, pero baka lang.
There's no two project that is typically the same. Each and particular project, I believe dito tayo nag-end last Thursday. So, the uniqueness of the project when it comes to its particular component, there's no such two project that are the same. Unlike with manufacturing, dapat pare-parehas yung kanilang output. Otherwise, the one that differs might be rejected, as for their consumption and of course part of their company operations. Then the problem with the access, access meaning the way to go with a particular construction site, it's very high, and I think as we all know, in any particular construction that is happening on the ground, kahit hindi sa ground lang, kahit sa bodies of water, merong mga project na nagagawa. Yung manufacturing, of course, this is a confined area, so therefore they can get into it anytime. So sa construction, as against manufacturing, so the process is not predictable. Kasi sa manufacturing, merong flow chart na dapat sequential, predictable yung activities nila. Sa construction, certain degree of flexibility. Because, of
Siguro
course,
nag-workout.
the availability of resources might be one
Ano yung
reason,
gamit ko?
or the weather condition and any other externalities that might affect activities. Minsan, makikita nyo sa project site na instead na magko-concrete pouring, so medyo na-delay ng konti yon or na-modify yung activities target for the day kasi maybe walang available na konkreto. Second is that hindi pa acceptable yung formworks. So possibly that process is somehow unpredictable. In automation, yeah, although of course there is gearing towards fourth industrial revolution, meaning there is this introduction of automation. Unlike manufacturing, sometimes robot na yung gumagawa at nag-assemble ng kanilang products. Sa construction, medyo minimal pa siya. So meron kayong mga maririnig minsan na automated equipment, but not definitely workers. They're not automated. High potential for encountering unforeseen condition. Yeah, construction really has this high potential of any unforeseen conditions. Compared sa manufacturing, which is setting up already, construction had to check the impact of unforeseen condition. Then the cost can vary according to conditions. So in the project management, it's very important that we are very much on top of monitoring and managing the cost, meaning the budget of a particular project. The supply, utilities, and other resources. Yan, minsan nagkakaroon ng shortage, minsan meron delays ng delivery because of the availability of materials. The typical example, pagka hindi masyadong available yung bakal, hindi pa na-produce yung reinforcing steel bars, or let's say, walang semento, right? Walang plywood, yan yung mga importante. Or it could be mga indent materials. Indent means imported materials that is coming outside of the Philippines. So unlike manufacturing, nakaset forth na yung kanilang supply to come up with their target out. Technical innovations are adapted slower. Very evident kasi why? The normal traditional activities as well as technologies is very much controlled when it comes to the fields of construction. Unlike manufacturing, yung innovations is quite applied into large scale. Success is dependent upon the quality of its people. So in construction, pag magagaling ang mga tao, mga direct workers, mga mason, mga carpentero, mga foremen, mga leadmen, so technically it will somehow affect the degree of quality at saka eventually the success rate of any particular project implementation. Unlike sa manufacturing, guided na yan. Ibig sabihin parang practice at saka repetitive activities is being involved. Very custom-oriented meaning traditional in its sense. In the construction, pagka walang materials, so normally, mga tao hindi makakapagtrabaho. Or walang tao pero may materials, hindi pa rin ma-achieve yung target output. Unlike sa manufacturing, meron ng setting up of automation, the use of artificial intelligence, or any other technologies applicable to come up with a product. Products can be of mind-boggling size, cost, and complexity. So may maliit, may malaking construction project. Unlike manufacturing, standard. Ibig sabihin pare-parehas. So given the particular differentiation that we highlighted of the construction versus manufacturing, so let us highlight now some problems that the construction industry is facing.
Papasukin yung ano.
So in the construction, one of the problem is fragmentation, and of course the slow response to embrace new technology. So of course, yung mga tao, mga direct workers doon is very much resistive of using technology kasi nasanay sila with the um, traditional way of, let's say,
Yan yung kanina.
concreting, the way of carpentry, and so forth and so on. Ibig sabihin that the tao is not that particularly 100% ready to embrace new technology. Number two, restrictive, outdated building codes. In our case, here in the Philippine setting, the National Building Code needs to be improved and revised. Improve kasi why? This is 1960s. So, yung 1960s compared to this current year, medyo marami ng revolutionary approach that has been considered. And kailangan ina-update na. Kaya lang, medyo slower ang phase natin when it comes to the building code, the National Building Code. Buti pa yung structural code, no? Ang latest natin is 2013 version of the structural code of the Philippines. Labor agreements and craft jurisdictional issues. Mga nagrarally. We all know that in construction, dami ang workers, no? That they had the tendency to create unions, meaning if they disagree to any labor related implementations of construction project, chances are it will be a potential problem also. Pangapat, liability and legal considerations. Liability, let's say there will be damage to others' property or damage to environment, right? So there are lots of legal consideration that a construction project needs to understand. So kaya may iba't iba tayong mga permitting requirements apart from getting building permit. So meron ka dapat environmental compliance certificate, meron ka dapat let's say if you will be extracting water, so you have this water permit, so to speak. So if you're using hazardous substances, toxic substances, so you really have to get a hazardous ID permit from the DNR. Meaning, in any particular construction project, there are several legal considerations that need to consider. Another is the lack of profit motive or other incentive. I experienced when I was in EEI, actually may magandang program doon yung company itself. Kasi why? Ang motivation is ng management ng EEI is to finish the project. If not on time, it's ahead of time. Tapos in return, all workers involved in the project will get an incentive. Ang tawag doon is PCSB or the Project Cost Savings Bonus. But to some companies, kaya matapos, kaya hindi yung project, still there will be some sort of lacking motivations among workers. So therefore, medyo hindi kagad na-deliver yung project. So, maraming government regulations. Iba regulation ni, let's say, ni munisipyo, iba regulations ni DNR, iba regulations ni barangay, ni DILG. So, ibig sabihin fragmented in its approach. Pag sinabing fragmented, kaniya-kaniya ng pagmamonitor sa compliance based on their requirements. Kaya nga, it boils down that for any particular construction project to be implemented, there should at least permit or certificate coming from government agencies so that there will be no problem. But still, this is a potential problem. Paano pagka ayaw kayong bigyan ng construction permit or let's say building permit ni Mayo? So it's one big about dun sa environmental compliance din. So definitely, government regulation will be a post to constraints. So in every project, apat na environments ang dapat i-consider. We have the land environment, the air environment, and the water environment. And of course, the most important is the human environment or people's environment. So all of which should be considered in the implementation. If it's not considered and it will become constraint, therefore, it will become a problem. NIMBY syndrome. So NIMBY syndrome is some sort of an attitude, no, to receiving community. Halimbawa, may project kayo na itatayo sa isang lugar na kung saan is hindi matanggap ng community. So, ang tawag dun sa attitude na yun is NIMBY. NIMBY means not in my backyard syndrome. So, you take note of that acronym. NIMBY means not in my backyard. They really want, of course, nobody resists to have a development. However, if they think that this will pose, let's say, nuances, pollution, crimes, or any other social disruption. So yung syndrome ng NIMBY is pumapasok. Again, NIMBY is not in my backyard. Not in my backyard. Then, of course, the competitiveness. So, kaya may mga multinational companies ng construction that they keep on addressing technologies that might be applicable in any particular project. So, yung global competition is very stiff right now. Parang ganito lang yan. Sa engineering profession, kayo, papasok kayo as, let's say, future civil engineers ng industry. So, how will you make sure that you will be hired by a company over the other applicants? Kaya, so far, thankful tayo sa Mapua kasi why? Despite all odds, still, they are preparing you to become globally competitive. You look at Mapua, di ba? We have an ABET accreditation. So, this is an international accreditation that, graduates of Mapua can land a particular job sa iba't ibang places all over the world. So, yung global competitiveness. Kumbaga, right now, if you really want to be part of the project management or the civil engineering profession, so nasa right school kayo when it comes to providing an edge for global competition. Pero sa iba, nagiging potential problem to. Why? When it comes to technology, when it comes to people, when it comes to resources, nagiging limited, nagiging inferior over the other organization when it comes to construction industry. So let's go now to the blame game. The blame game normally, we normally highlights who are the actors of particular construction project. Sino-sino ang hindi naman natin sasabing nakikialam, but may pakialam in such a way that meron sila mga iba't ibang expectation towards the implementation of the project. Of course, meron tayong contractor, meron din tayong owner, meron tayong designer. These are actors of construction project. However, kailangan nyo ma-identify, we need to identify other actors that might be of an interest to implementing project. So, ang tawag sa kanila mga interested parties, third parties, or stakeholders by introducing the blame game. So, as far as construction industry is concerned all over the world, it shares around 10% of the gross national products of a particular country. So, malaki na rin ang contribution ng construction. However, still, kailangan pa rin that all construction activity will be full swing. Kaya lang, of course, we are struck with the effect of COVID-19 pandemic. Kaya, parang ganun lang yun, IATF ruling, kapag sa capacity-wise, anong sabi, mga gathering facility. Kailangan lang 30% lang. So it follows yung 70%, it's really a loss currently right now. So this is also applicable with construction. So right now, if your construction project will last for 24 months or 2 years, so yung 24 months na yun, ang peak number of manpower nyo is, let's say, 500. Dahil nabawasan automatic yung 500 ng 70%, naging 150. 150 na lang yung tao. Hindi kagad magagawa ng 150 yung magagawa ng 500. So if we are about to calculate using algebra meaning the time problem. So if 500 workers can finish a job in 2 years, so what will be the number of years does a 150 workers need to develop or to deliver a project? So syempre mas longer siya. Kasi because of the effect of pandemic. All over the world to, hindi lang sa Philippines. However, still, medyo it poses around 10% of the gross national product. Gross national product, when you say it's the wealth of nation na pwedeng domestic at pwedeng abroad.
Yung amount na iniintay.
Kaya yung mga workers natin, construction workers, construction engineers na nagtatrabaho abroad is nakakapag-contribute din sila sa GNP natin. Pero kapag we're dealing of the effect of the Pilipinas lang, ibig sabihin yung workers, construction activity din sa Pilipinas, ang tawag doon GDP or Gross Domestic Product.
Tuturuan ba kayo ng math?
Employs over 10 million workers when it comes to construction industry. So annual volume exceeds around 800 billion US dollars. And this is vital to the nation's economic health and quality of life. It's very important.
Sa amin kasi meron na third year.
Kasi why? Of course, it will, when there is a project automatic, there will be invitation of new jobs, new opportunities for livelihood. Kasi why? It can create enterprises that will support project implementation. Kaya kung makikita nyo yung mga construction project, may mga makikita na kayo mga packet of retails, packet of makeshift enterprise. Not per vendors, but indeed it deals businesses, transactions. And also, pag nagawa ang project, it targets the improvement of quality of life or QL. Kasi sa ibang bansa, specifically, hindi, we have this what you call QL index, quality of life index, na kung saan it entails the ability of a particular, let's say, national, parang kayo, ano ability nyo to access the basic social services. Pag sinabi basic social services, nandyan yung education, nandyan yung health, nandyan yung protection, and any other facilities for you to continue with your life. So yung QL index, somehow, tumataas yan kapag ka may nag-deliver, may natatapos na construction project. In the industry divisions, let us check. Ito yung iba't ibang categories natin ng projects. We have residential construction. Ano-ano nasa residential construction? Later, sige. We classify also building construction, both institutional and commercial. When we say institutional, these are schools, let's say learning institutions, library. When we say commercial, we pertain to sometimes office building, sometimes a novelty building. Novelty meaning this is an enclave of various land use that has commercial activities. When we say commercial activities, we pertain to transactions. When we say to markets, we say selling activities.
Smart mo na lang, smart na lang.
The third one, we have heavy construction. Heavy, hindi mabigat Heavy kasi why? Multi-bulk siya. Ibig sabihin, when it comes to size, medyo malaki siya. And of course, we have industrial construction. So industrial construction, so this mainly involves facility that supports industrial activities.
Okay na.
So sa industry division, residential,
Ano mo na ba?
okay.
Nakakalabas ka ba?
Ano na? Payat ako.
Huwag mo na umalis.
So these are the various types of residential projects. We have single family house, we have multi-family dwelling. When we say multi-family dwellings, can be horizontal. Ito yung mga nakikita nating mga subdivisions na kung saan yung mga bahay is pwedeng naka-attach to each other or pwedeng single detached, meaning meron silang sarili-sarili fence, or it could be a vertical dwelling, yung concept ng condominiums. High-rise apartments and condominiums. So far, it's 30-35% of the industry, meaning the construction industry involves residential projects. Low capital and technology requirement when it comes to this particular asset. This is very basic when it comes to construction activity. Largely private, meaning the owner of this particular project is, of course, private individual or private entity. Bibihira lang yung owned by the government, yung mga pabahay ng gobyerno, but majority ng mga ganitong projects na residential, largely, mostly owned by private organizations or private individuals. Open speculative.
Ay naman. Ay, wait lang. Ganun. Ano ba yung smart ko?
Dun.
Ay, yung globe ko.
Diyan. 716.
Same slot to nga. Ganun parang ngayon ang data. Ano ngayon ang
Recording in progress.
Universities, medical clinics and hospitals. So, ito yung ating building construction for institutional and commercial.
pag ano?
Kasama dito ang retail stores and shopping centers, mga malls, mga novelty shops, mga theme park, mga quick service restaurants. So all of which, basta anything na involved na facility that will incorporate yung transactions, yung marketing, yung selling. Sa madalit salita, this is building construction. Warehouses, and light manufacturing. To some, ito yung mga tinatawag ng mga skyscrapers or let's say building with greater heights. Normally, here in the Philippines, majority of the skyscrapers, meaning mga buildings sa matataas, is located along Makati and Fort Bonifacio in Taguig City. Hotels, convention centers, theaters, kasama yan sa commercial. Okay? So, baka nag-iisip na kayo kung what type of project yan, and that will be your categorization. It could be a residential setup, it could be a building construction or building setup, or it could be kasama rin pa sa building construction churches and synagogues, meaning lahat ng mga religious facility, prisons, courthouses, judicial academy, government buildings. Kasama yan sa building constructions. So, if residential is around 35 to 40% is about building construction, larger and more complex than residential, of course, because it entices various activities. Yung mga activities na yun, parallel. Various owners, ibig sabihin hindi lang isa, it could be group of companies or let's say group of individuals who shares to own a particular branch. Parang ano yan, Skyway 3 project. If you know Skyway 3, kung nakadaan na kayo, ito yung nagli-link ng NLEX at saka ng SLEX. So, ang owner nito is the San Miguel Group. So, ibig sabihin, group of companies. Although ang chair is an individual by Mr. Ang, still, consortium, various owners. Designed by architects and engineers, because architect is all about aesthetics, while engineers is all about stability and of course yung greater strength that will resist load patterns. For heavy construction, it includes your horizontal construction, automatic horizontal construction, edi kasama road dyan, sir. Kasama rails dyan, kasama gawa ng PNR, and so forth. Or kaya ng MRT, heavy construction tawag. 20 to 25% of the construction industry, mostly public financing or large consortium. Just like what is going on with Commonwealth Avenue, the construction of MRT7. MRT7 is a consortium again that involves San Miguel, that involves the MCI. It's a group of organization. And it has a public-private partnership scheme because those private companies, the group of private companies partner with the Department of Transportation to come up with financing, ibig sabihin pagpoponder ng project, and at the same time, the implementation of the project. Highway and bridges, number one project. Number two, railroads and urban transit system. Tunnels and dams, airports, canals. Okay? So, anything that ang nature niya is of course horizontal construction, this will fall under heavy construction, this type of projects. Ports and harbor structures. Kasama pipelines, just like what was been built there in Palawan, the CNG pipelines, and other, let's say, conveyance of, let's say, extracted oils, extracted resource coming from, let's say, from the bundok or the product of mining sa ilalim ng dagat. So lahat yan is via pipelines. Sewer systems, water treatment and distribution systems, power and communication network, mga cell sites, mga satellite disks, installation, mga generator, genset, KVA, standby set. What else? Yung power plants, I think. Natin, landfills, this is facility that aims to process waste coming from, let's say, municipal waste, or should we say solid hazardous waste, and so forth and so on. So mass quantities of basic materials. Heavy construction needs a lot of earth materials, rocks, steels, timber, and concrete. Constructors need knowledge of engineering and geology. Yung mga constructor ng mga yun. Kaya each particular project that involves horizontal construction needs to undertake soil studies. Kaya meron tayong merong ibang professional na geologist. Tayo, civil engineers, kaya meron tayong subject na soil mechanics. Kasi we are studying the mechanical properties of the soil. Sa madaling salita, the geotechnical properties of the soil. Kaya may soil mechanics tayong subject. Engineers and builders are often specialized. Civil engineers, of course, constructors are often specialized with this type of, let's say, construction activities. So, greatest impact on land and water. Kasi why? Pag sinabing greatest impact, it will, of course, modify, it will alter the configuration of both land and water. So, yung dating normal na lupa, magiging semento, magiging konkreto, iba na ang configuration, pati slope niya. Dati steep ang slope niya, napipi kasi finlatten, kinompa. So, there will be impact. When we say sa water naman, dati is, let's say, a body of water, let's say a pond. So, ngayon, because of the construction, yung pond natuyo, tinuyo. Or kung nandun pa rin yung tubig, pero natayuan lang ng facility. So, classic example is construction of ports and harbor. Right? So, yung the normal tidal movement ng dagat, yung wave at saka yung current occurrence is nagkaroon ng effect yung construction sa kanila. So, high degree of mechanization, just like the government is eyeing classic example yung gagawing tunnel sa Davao. As you could see there, pag-tunneling activities. So, this is a Japanese technology because the consultant there is JICA, meaning this is Japan International Cooperative Agency, na hindi lang basta tumulong para mag-finance ng project or mag-provide ng pera for the project, but they also provide technology. So, dun sa gagawing tunnel, gagamit sila ng boring machine na, alam niyo yun, yung nakikita right now na ipinapatalastas, na hindi na kailangan ng maraming shoring or para mag-cave in or let's say mag-loosen up at magkaroon ng erosion. Kasi this is a high degree of mechanization when it comes to soil boring techniques. Contracts awarded through competitive bidding. So, competitive bidding, since majority ng heavy construction na ini-implement sa country natin sa Pilipinas is being headed by the government, specifically the Department of Public Works and Highway. So, invited private companies as contractors or bidders and award the contract based contractors who's responsive with the contract. For the industrial construction, this is a very large scale projects, high degree of technological complexity. So it involves various technology, designed and built by the largest firms with the highest level of technical sophistication. So kung you have the idea of, let's say, shipbuilding activity there sa Subic. So this is technologically complex, implemented by the company. Kasi they need a large area for their assembly, but of course, yung sophistication ng introduction ng technology is very apparent, meaning kapansin-pansin. It represents 5 to 10% of the market. So these are, ang industrial construction involves petroleum refineries, steel mills and aluminum plants, chemical processing plants, fossil fuel and nuclear power plants. Other heavy manufacturing facilities, let's say tin smelting, let's say paggawaan ng bakal, pagpoproduce ng semento, sa lahat, sa madalit salita, these are highly technological activities that needs highly technological complex facility. It has complex mechanical system, process piping and instrumentation. Plus in the instrumentation, so ito yung involvement of startup and of course yung power energization, meaning yung pag-a-apply na pag-run through ng pilot operation nung particular na ginawa. Parang may test run na siya. Meron ng testing and commissioning. Second, civil but also mechanical. It involves chemical and electrical engineering discipline. Mostly private ownership in Western countries. Western countries, USA, Canada, pagka meron silang pagpapaconstruct ng mga power plants, it's normally owned by, of course, a private company. The same is true with us here in the Philippines. No? Ilan lang yung government-owned mga power plants natin. So, negotiated contracts are typical. Bakit negotiated at hindi ko? Ito yung difference siya with heavy construction kasi this particular type of project involves ika nga kanina technical specialization. So therefore, parang ganito lang yan. Magpapagawa kayo ng isang planta. So ngayon, to get reference, hahanapin nyo yung gumawa ng isang existing na plant para to negotiate further. Kasi nagsasalita na yung kanilang tinatawag na credibility. Kasi there's no such specialized contractors or specialized companies na nagfo-focus sa marami. Palaging specialization lang siya. So parang dito sa Pilipinas, kapag nagpagawa ka ng power plants, normally ang tatawagin natin to come up with a proposal will be coming from Aboitiz Power, what else? IMSA, because they already constructed the same level of complexity type of project. Turnkey contract, when I say turnkey contract, it involves design, it involves construction, at saka yung operation. So kumbaga sila yung gagawa, sila magde-design, sila rin mag-start up ng operation para dun sa kliyente nila. Parang yung ano natin, Suwal Power Plant. Yung ating Masinloc coal-fired power plant. Yung Masinloc, this is a government run project sa Zambales. Pero nag-ooperate ito TOWA Corporation ng Japan. Kasi sila nag-construct. This is a project of EEI. So yung TOWA Corporation ng Japan is hinire yung EEI since EEI has specialization already of power plant projects. Marami kaming ginawa nun. Mount Apo Geothermal Power Plant, Suwal Power Plant, Mauban Quezon Power Plant, PGI Macban. So ibig sabihin, EEI is one particular contractor that has specialization to this type of project. Turnkey, kasi merong intermediaries when it comes to the designers. So meron tayong mga foreign counterparts niya na tumutulong sa Pilipinas. Example niyan yung MHI, yung Mitsubishi Heavy Industries, yung Sumitomo. Right? They're the supporting arm for local companies to, of course, construct, build, design specialized industrial projects. Design constructors must be intimately familiar with the technology and operation. As I'm telling you, because of their specialization, they will be able to design as well as to operate and construct. Construction industries further subdivided into sectors or segments by number 1, public versus private ownership or funding, union labor versus open shop, organization and method of project delivery. In public versus private ownership, of course, it's either private sector ang owner or pwedeng government. So, second, yung pag sinabing union labor, ibig sabihin, this is tied up with a package of, let's say, a group of workers or open recruitment na tinatawag, kaya nagkakaroon ng job fair. Tapos the organization and method of project delivery. So, organization, meaning ito yung typical table of organization, meaning set of people or set of expert and specialists to be deployed in a project. So, the type of work, pwedeng new construction or pwedeng rehabilitation, retrofit, or restoration. So, merong ganun. Parang yung LRT2. Yung LRT2 na nagra-run originally from Santolan going to Recto. Now, it was been, meron siyang new construction. So, yan yung alignment from Santolan going to Masinag Antipolo. Yung retrofit nun is nandun sa Katipunan Station kasi di ba medyo may portion doon na nasunog. Retrofit ang tawag. Pwedeng repair versus bag. And of course, construction projects also differs from each contract type. Is it a two-way contract wherein it is the establishment, specifically number one, the owner, and number two, the contractor? Is it a joint venture? Is it a public-private partnership? Is it a build, operate, transfer, build, list, transfer, and so forth and so on? So, yung mga projects natin, normally, dyan na-fall na category. By the way, question. May question ba on the categorization? So, by this time, dapat the group should understand very well what is the category that you want to, let's say, to come up with your group project. Pero class, no, please take note that this particular exercise, yung activity natin, hindi ito palakihan ng project. As I'm telling you, you have to establish your objective. Objective para masuportahan that indeed very feasible, very viable, and reliable ang inyong project. Si Mr. Pasco, buhat-buhat na yung ulo niya. Parang, nakukuha pa ba, Mr. Pasco?
Yes, sir. Medyo mainit lang dito, sir, sa taas.
Yeah, kahit dito sa amin, parang niluluto nga ako eh. Pero wala, ganito talaga eh. Para sa bayan to, yung ginagawa kong to. Para sa mga future engineer na katulad ninyo. Kailangan tuloy-tuloy lang ang learnings. No? Question naman, ang haba nung kinuwento ko sa inyo, wala pa question.
Ako po, sir, may question po.
Yes, Mr. TikTok ko.
Kaya, di ba, sir, nabanggit dun sa industry, meron dong churches. Tapos, yan, kakabanggit lang po yung new versus retrofit or restoration. So, pwedeng maging project namin, kunyari,
Yes.
sir, restoration ng church.
Yes.
Pwedeng ganun. Okay po.
Right.
Thank you po.
Galing na kuya. Nagkakaroon ako ng idea. Very good. Yeah, good question yun. Baka kasi yung iba mag-isip ng bago. Which is okay lang. Kaya lang, syempre, kapag bagong project, new project ang iniisip nyo, you will question the location kaagad. Tama? It will have a hard time for you to, sa ko ba ilo-locate to sa dagat? Yung ganun. Yeah? Kailangan kong gumawa ng 100-story na building na kung saan yung 100-story na building magiging bahay ng mga squatter or should we say the informal settlers. Kaya lang, saan nyo itatayo? Sa bundok. Unlike, tama rin, good idea. I want to retrofit the old public terminal kasi I think it makes sense. Kasi why? Dumadami na tao dito sa area to, specifically sa amin, at kailangan lang i-arrange yung, let's say, yung babaan sa kaya ng mga pasahero when it comes dun sa mga biyahero na sumasakay ng bus, sumasakay ng jeep, pwede yun. Pwede rin yung tricycle terminal. Baka naman wag kayo mag-isip masyado ng malaking project. Tricycle terminal, kaya lang, I want sabi ko nga sa inyo wala namang maliit at malaking project, basta merong purpose. Okay? Pero, i-discourage ko na kayo sa bahay. Ayoko ng bahay. Ha? Kasi nagawa nyo na yan sa 151. You did that already. Sir, gagawa ako sir ng bahay for single family pero 10-story. Wow! Pinahirapan nyo talaga. 10-story pero isa lang may-ari. Ilan ang member ng family? 100 po. Ay! Parang ano, di gawa na condominium. Tama? Condominium na lang. Mag-isip ng pabahay sa inyo. Okay yan. Kasi why? We have one problem right now, no? Specifically sa Metro Manila or kahit sa area nyo. Ang dami-daming informal settlers. Hindi ba natin mabibigyan sila ng disenteng bahay? Kahit hindi masyadong kasing bongga na ginagawa ng MCI, ng SM, yung mga residences nila, yung tipong something na may pagmamalaki nila na, alam nyo yun, nasa disente akong tirahan. Something like that. Diba? Makes sense. Hospital, baka may gustong mag-isip ng hospital, kaya lang lagyan nyo lang ng twist. So, katulad ngayon, di ba? Ang daming, katulad ng binabash ni Senator Nancy Binay. Galit na galit si Senator Nancy Binay na palagi daw nagpapapicture si Senator Go at saka si DOH Secretary kapag nag-o-open ng COVID-19 facility. Di ba? Ako iniisip ko lang yun, baka hindi kasi na-invite si Senator Binay. Nagalit siya kapag merong ganun. I think that makes sense now because of the problem. Alam niyo ba na yung ganitong effect ng pandemic, it will take around 5 years pa na it will continue, although we can obtain, at least sa Pilipinas, no, ng herd immunity, tinatawag na 70%. Still, mag-grow. Yan parang ketong lang yan, di ba? Kaya anong ginawa ng gobyerno nung nag-outbreak ang keto? So nagtayo ng leprosarium or yung ano yan? Hospital para sa mga merong leprosy, di ba? At tingnan nyo, nawala ba? Tigil bang operation? Hindi. Kasi nag-grow yung numbers. Nagkakaroon ng maraming incidents. Just like this one. No? So, ang challenge lang, you have to understand what are the symptoms at ano mga ilalagay yung facility para to control further the spread of the virus. Kailangan nyo ba ng droplet collector, air collector? Kailangan nyo bang nakadispense yung building na ang highlight ng building hindi yung structure but yung, of course, para ma-prevent nyo yung pagkalat ng virus. Isa pang problem, traffic, congestion, di ba? So, sir, mag-design ako ng bikeways. Yan. Bikeway na matino. Sir, kailangan kasing i-improve. Bakit? Bigyan natin ng konting mahalaga yung mga tao na afford lang is bicycle para to move from one place to another. So therefore, baka we could construct this one. Kaya nga sabi ko sa inyo, very important, lalong-lalo dun sa mga previous students ko sa 123, you really have to revisit the CLUP ng mga cities or yung comprehensive land use plan ng mga cities. Kasi nandun na nakaline up yung mga project nila eh. For sure, kung bakit nandun yun sa club, kasi meron yung purpose. Plus, tinuturuan ko kayo to interpret kaagad yung what is written that we can read. Ang Mapua ba may increase ng enrollment? Kailangan ba na magkaroon ng panibagong building? Yun ang makakapagpasupport that a new building, let's say, a new school is to be built. No? Whether sa side ng Intramuros, sa harap ng ganito, ganyan. Next, yung tinatawag na, yan, tinanong na ni Mr. Elia about rehabilitation and retrofit. Baka may mag-iisip sa inyo dahil ngayon hindi na napapakinabangan masyado ang sinihan. Baka pwede yung i-retrofit into hospital. Kuha nyo? Na hindi naman kailangan gibain lahat. But gagawa nyo lang ng parang isolation facility and at the same time parang exchanges ng mga medical services. So that's one good proposal. And also, ano ba? Learning center. I want an integrated. Sana may makapag-isip sa inyo ng learning center. Kasi kawawa yung mga estudyante nating elementary, high school, nakita nyo, di ba? So ngayon, inaalaw na yata silang lumabas. Pero, nagmo-module-module, no? Na kung saan, mahina, hindi naman mahina, very limited pa yung kanilang learnings about Zoom meeting, mga katulad ng ganito. Baka pwede natin silang bigyan ng provisions. It's really an enclave only, parang bahay lang yan eh, parang i-design lang na parang gymnasium and that's it. Let's say, 4 na parang convention type. Tapos, let's say, hindi, gawin nyo ng 6 kasi elementary, grade 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Tapos, may malaking, let's say, isang malaking screen para kapag nagde-deliver ng learning. I think yan yung mga importanteng project na yun.
Sir,
Yes.
sir, may tanong lang po ako. Like, if sa sa real life na and may project ka po, mas better po humingi ng advice sa mga expert. Kunyari po, kung hospital yung project nyo or kung school yung project nyo, mas maganda kung may advice po kayo sa expert, sa mga teachers, sa mga doctors, habang gumagawa po ng project nyo po.
Yan ang mga kasunod nating discussion, nakita mo yung mga stakeholders ng project din. Yeah, kaya hindi rin naman ako papayag na magpo-propose kayo ng project, halimbawa hospital, wala kayong kinausap from DOH. Kasi may standard ng DOH. Kahit billion-billion pera nyo, tapos gusto yung project hospital, kailangan yung i-meet yung standard ng DOH or ng WHO. Kuha nyo? So, isa-cite nyo doon, references, DOH Administrative Order Number 13, Series of 2005. Ano to? Minimum Standard of Hospital Construction. It's there! Tama! Tapos, i-connect nyo rin yung National Building Code of the Philippines, PD 1954. Basic Minimum Requirements of Hospital Construction. Palagay ko babalikan natin yung PD 1954 or yung 1594 or yung building code kasi wala na akong naging estudyante sa inyo sa 151. Meron ba? Wala, no? Sinong nagtagapagturo? Mr. Emiya, sinong tagapagturo mo nung 151? Yung building systems. Sino teacher mo? Sir Emiya.
Si ano po, Sir Henry.
Nagturo siya ng National Building Code. Nabanggit niya sa... Nabanggit, pero may straight lecture siya.
Hindi po napaliwanag yung buong about sa
Okay.
building code.
Gusto mo bang matutunan nito, Mr. Emiya?
Yes, sir.
So, additional ano ko lang to. Outside of the CE168 to. Kasi why? Very important. Dapat sa 151, naituro na sa inyo yung building code. Para alam nyo kagad. Ano minimum size ng parking, Mr. Emiya, alam mo?
No idea, sir.
Yun. Sir, it's so easy. Kahit nung sagot dapat, alam mo kung anong sagot na in-expect ko sa'yo? Sir, ang dali niyan. Alam mo kung bakit? Kasi pinag-aralan ko sa ring building code, it's there. That is around 1.8 by 2.3 based from book number 7 ng National Building Code. Anong page? Page 24, sir. Oh my gosh, galing. Yeah. I want you to get that one. Kasi why? At least meron kayong point of specialization. Ibig sabihin,
Recording in progress.
Waiting shed. Nandun yung allowance. Allowance, let's say, ng entrance to the main door. Parang ganon. Kasi, syempre, mga basic yan, titignan ko naman yan sa configuration yun. No? Hindi naman totally design yan eh. But really, anong reference po rito kung bakit ganitong door mo? Bakit double swinging door? Bakit single swinging door? Bakit sliding in door? Kasi sir, naka-state po dun sa National Building Code siyempre, pag sinabi niyo sa akin yun, hindi tahimik na ako. Wow, marunong pala silang gumamit ng National Building Code. Kasi ang hirap pagka, wala sir, pagka hindi kayo kumukonsult sa building code, sa mga basic design, of course, as if you're parang ano lang, nag-drawing na kayo ng elementary tsaka ng high school. Since we are in the college already, so therefore, lahat ng mga ginagawa natin, may certain references, just like what Ms. Timbas is telling us, may mga dapat kayong source. Ang source nyo, pwedeng libro, pwedeng code, pwedeng tao na expert sa project na gagawin nyo. DepEd, pagka-eskwelahan ng project nyo, dapat makikipag-coordinate kayo sa DepEd. Bakit? Merong standard, let's say, ang school construction when it comes to DepEd and CHED. Mr. Emiya, tatanungin kita, anong size ng classroom? Basic.
Hindi ko alam sir, depende.
According to the National Building Code and the CHED Memorandum Circular and DepEd issuances, it is 7/8. So, syempre, hindi ako pwedeng makakita ng kunyari classroom sa inyo na maliit sa 7 and 8. Kasi, iti-treat ko yun as parang CR lang. Standard yun eh. Hindi pa pwede. Doon pa lang, anong mangyayari kaya pagka yung standard na 7/8 na sa classroom ninyo, pinaliit ninyo, anong mangyayari? Anong mangyayari sa project nyo? Anong mangyayari sa susunod na kaganap? Pag hindi compliant sa DepEd, sa CHED, at saka sa building.
Sir, hindi ka na po pagtitiwalaan ng mga susunod mong clients?
Okay, isa yun. Hindi, pero yung immediate, kasi ano yun, effect na yan eh. Anong immediate na mangyayari? May isip mo kagad na hindi magaganap yung project mo. Bakit? Hindi ka bibigyan ng permit. Dahil non-compliant ka. Kanino? Dun sa mga regulation. Kuha, yun na yun. Ay shucks, dapat pala compliant pala ako sa building code. Ay dapat pala nabasa ko yung CHED. Ay dapat pala nabasa ko yung DepEd issuance on the classroom size. Wow! Make sense? Nakuha ba? Yes po, sir.
Yes po sir.
I just hope, no? Yan, gusto kong yung the confidence of telling now na, yun lang pala yun. Pinapahirap pala natin mga buhay natin, pwede naman pala natin i-simplified, basta proper referencing ang gagawin natin. That's how. Yun lang. Any question pa? Sige. May question pa? Before I move to the stakeholders, meaning the actors of any particular branch. Pwede na rin kayo magtanong dun sa with regards to your project.
Sir, ano po ba yung pinaka-latest? Di ba nare-revise yung National Building Code? Ano yung pinaka-latest, sir?
Ako ang libro ko pa rin PD 1594 ng 1954. Tapos meron lang mga issuances na latest 2003, pero parang pagbabago lang sa isang page, hindi yung buong libro. Yung ganon.
So, ini-improve lang yung building code, hindi binabago na siya.
Hindi masyadong binabago lahat. Kaya titignan ninyo yun. Ano yung latest dito? Merong 2010. Yun yung nabasa ko, yun yung ginagamit ko pagka kukuha ko ng standard ng parking. Normally, pagka gumagawa ko ng traffic impact assessment study ng mga project, ang reference ko sa parking requirement is building code. So, nandun yun sa page 37. Yes?
Kapag di ba po, nabigyan kayo ng project, yung parang references niyo po dapat, di po ba parang inline dun sa TOR na bibigay ng client?
Yes. Hindi ka pwede mag-deviate dun.
So sir, parang masusundan niyo po ba yan or titingin pa po kayo sa mga building code ganun?
Hindi. Okay. Siyempre, mag-govern ng batas, David. Tignan mo kagad yung batas. Pero, hindi ibig sabihin, yung kliyente mo, let's say, ang kliyente mo ay private company, nagpapagawa ng school. Ang gusto niya lang sa size ng school, ito ang senaryo na, ang sabi niya sa TOR is I want a 10 classroom, but the size of the classroom is 8 by 6. So, alam mo kagad na ito ay non-compliant when it comes to the basic DepEd law or the DepEd issuance, which is 8 by 7. Sana gagawin mo? Isnabin mo na siya. Sir, si Raulo ka pala eh. Client ka nga, dami ka nga pera, pero hindi dapat gano'n ang sagot nyo ha. Anong sasagot nyo? Sir, yung pong size na binigay nyo po is beyond po doon sa binigay na minimum standard ng DepEd. Ano po, ipupush po ba natin to? Siyempre, sila pa rin na mag-govern on that. Okay? Pero at least anong ginawa nyo? You inform them, being their client. What?
Yes, sir.
Yun ang
Pero
gagawin.
kung kunyari sir, kayo yung client, then nagbigay kayo ng standards na hindi po pasok doon sa bigay ng doon po sa National Building Code. Hindi naman po agad magbibigay ng permit pag ganun, no, sir?
Yeah, exactly. Kasi silipin ka agad yung plano. Silipin yung plano kung compliant siya in a way. Pero minsan, Mr. David, merong nakakalusot na ganyan. Ang nangyayari naman dyan, di na-construct na. Hindi nakasunod sa 8 by 7, nagawa 8 by 6 na classroom. Pagdating na sa tinatawag na occupancy permit or yung permit to operate, doon nagkakaroon na ng problema. Ay, na-construct na eh. So, lalaki na gastos siya doon. Kasi why? Magigiba na siya doon. Kasi nagawa na eh. Hindi siya compliant sa standard. Paano ba ito? Nakuha nyo? Kaya, bakit yung papaabutin yun? You really have to inform your client na, sir, this is the standard or this is the guidelines. Sir, itutuloy ba natin to? Siyempre, tatanong nyo rin kasi, sir, baka po pagka nagkaroon ng inspection, natapos na namin to, wala na po kami, nasa malayo na po kami, nasa ibang project na po kami, baka naman pagawa nyo pa uli, magkakaroon kayo ng uli ng gastos. Nakuha?
Sir,
So,
pag
at
mali...
least-
Sorry, sir. Kapag kunyari,
Sige,
sir,
sige.
mali po yung nagawa and let's say na-build na po, di ba, sir?
Okay.
Rectification po ba yung gagawin doon o pwede pong bayaran na lang na as parang error po, ganun?
Well, it depends. Kung rectification, in a way, kasi may iba-ibang level ng replacement, rectification, retrofit, upgrade, rehabilitation. Pero pagka yung rectification, mag-i-involve ng structural integrity and that is already retrofitting. Medyo mas large scale yun. Pero pag sinabing repair, mas magaan lang siya kasi why? It will not involve structural integrity. Sabihin, hindi ka babasag ng beam, hindi ka magtatanggal ng column, yun. Tapos, hindi pwede...
Ano po ba yun, sir? Kunyari, di ba parang i-extend nyo lang po yung wall lang, let's say 1 by 1 meter lang po, ganun. Repair lang po
pwede.
ba yun, sir?
Repair, yeah, pwede naman.
Okay po, sir.
Any more question? So pag walang question, we will continue. So who are the stakeholders and participants in any construction activity or the construction process? Sino-sino mga actors? Sino-sino yung mga nakikita yung nagpa-participate para sa construction activity? Let's check. Number 1 is the owner. Of course, wala palagi yan. Parang kayo, pag nagpapagawa kayo, so you normally see the owner of the project present sa project site. Kasi he or she is ensuring that everything will be okay, no problem about the permit, and of course, lahat ng tao ay gumagalaw. Kasi iisipin ng owner that, of course, they are paid because they need to work. Number 2, by the way, owner can classified both. Normally, sa mga construction project, kapag government ang project, pwede itong mga representatives coming from the PWH, general, kasi lalo na sa building. No? Pagka building construction, road construction, it's the representative of the DPWH who are always present there sa construction. could be conceives the construction projects. Pag sinabing conceives, nakatago. It could be agent, it could be inspector. Increasing level of sophistication, well, it depends on the type of the project. Number 2 is of course yung gumawa ng design or the designer itself. So yan yung mga architects. So well, it depends. This particular professional depends on the size of firms, ranging from, let's say, single practitioner. Kasi merong mga architect na single practitioner lang. Siya, ibig sabihin, sarili niya lang. Or pwede ring large integrated firms, group of architects, or corporation or company that involves architectural services. Mostly building and residential construction, yung mga architects involved. Yung lahat ng mga may aesthetics, lahat ng mga it requires architectural plans. Number 2, designer is engineers. Yung engineers, it could be the civil engineer, the mechanical, the structural, the electrical, the chemical, the environmental, the geotechnical, and any other type of engineering professionals. Multidiscipline part sila ng designers. Designer ng process, designer ng structure, designer ng electric flow, designer ng aircon, design ng chemical equations, no? Design ng environmental mitigation measures. Of course, kasama rito yung gumagawa, general contractor. In general contractor, ito yung may direct na tie up with the owner or the developer. Kasi may iba't pa tayong contractor. So the general contractor is sometimes called the prime contractor or the main contractor. Mas appropriate, main contractor. Specialty contractors working as subcontractors. Yung mga specialty contractors or subcontractors, ito ang kanyang communication kay main contractor na. Hindi, as much as possible, itong mga to hindi nakikipag-coordinate directly sa may-ari. It is the may-ari who will go to the kahit kanino dyan. But the specialty contractor and subcontractors can only go to the main contractor to air their concerns. When it comes to, of course, project implementation. Organization ranges from small one-person company to large integrated architectural engineering construction firms based from PCAB licenses. Yung PCAB natin, yung minsan may makikita kayong quadruple A, triple A, double A, single A, B, C, D, specialty, and so on. Part of a design build team, ito yung mga turnkey contracts. So, classic example is when we did MRT3 EDSA project way back 1996. We started 96, then we finished the project 1999. So, ang turnkey contractor is Mitsubishi Heavy Industries and Sumitomo Corporation. So, kami lang ang subcontractor ni MHI at saka ni Sumitomo. So, ang owner is of course the government through the Department of Transportation and Communication and MMDA. So, sila yung mga parang inspectors ng project. Since si DOTC kinuha si MHI to design, of course, the tracks, the beams, the configuration of the station, kaya naging turnkey contracts. Number 4, the construction manager, or this is the firm that manages all project management related activities. Sino-sino to? 2 principal divisions of CM. So CM for fee, it's management services only, or CM at risk. Yung CM for fee, ito yung during the construction, nandoon yung team ng construction management or project management. Ito namang construction management at risk, ito naman yung kapag nagkakaroon na ng close out yung project. Pag sinabing close out, meron ng turnover, so therefore nagkakalculate na sila ng risk, nagkakaroon ng risk assessment at nagkakaroon ng risk management. Normally, ito yung day-to-day basis, ito yung one-time, big time pagdating sa close out. It operates similarly to general contractor or of course builders with no labor or capital equipment. So puro tao lang. So to encompass the management of the design process as well as construction. Meaning, yung construction manager or the firm that represents construction management can process both sa design at saka sa construction activity. So sila yung pinaka parang hindi ko sinasabing right hand, but of course, hinire ng owner para i-manage yung activity and at the same time yung coordination is smooth pagdating sa construction. CM services including inspection, kasama inspection sa activity nila and overall project or program management. Suppliers, syempre, suppliers, of course, these are entities, these are companies who has the ability to provide needed materials at site for construction, suppliers. So it could be manufacturers, distributors, research, and promotion. Materials and equipment sales, equipment rental, and kasama rito fabricators. Fabricators, yung mga, let's say, mga specialty item na isasalpak na lang dun sa construction site. Fabricators tawag. Ang EEI, meron ding fabricator na nakalukit sa Batangas City sa Bawan. So, I remember when during the time of the MRT3 project, yung Guadalupe Bridge, it was fabricated doon sa shop ng EEI sa Batangas. Yung nasa Guadalupe Bridge yun. Hindi yung kinonstruct sa site. Dinala lang ng napakahaba yun doon at in-install. Kasi it was fabricated, pre-fab already. Yan, fabricators of structural steel, precasters, or wood brands. And of course, labor, trade unions, yung mga employee union. Kasi why? Sa perfect labor standards, dapat the employee should have their organizations. 8, it's the government. Government who will monitor the compliance of the construction when it comes to issued permit. Construction permit, let's say building permit, ECC, let's say permit to operate, and so forth, or sanitation permit. So the government is very important. So it could be federal. When we say federal sa atin, national to. State, regional. Ito yung local. When we say local, ito yung munisipyo, city. Mga patao ni mayor. Minsan kasama rito barangay. Yung quasi-government, ito yung merong, let's say, judicial powers and function ng mga nanguhuli. Classic example, DNR, meron yung police power. DILG, may police power yan. What else? Pag sinabi may police power, meron silang karapatan na magpatigil ng trabaho kapag they found out na merong non-compliance sa construction activity. So nakuha. Ang tawag doon, quasi-government, pero to some term, it's quasi-judicial body. Quasi-judicial body kasi meron silang power to police yung ginagawa ng isang, let's say, company o kaya ng construction project. So owner and client, sometimes the government serve as the owner and the client. Ito mga to, yan. Sa school district, sa atin yung DepEd, Department of Transportation, sa government service agencies. Ito yung equivalent natin sa US when it comes to Association of Construction Engineers. Non-ownership function. So non-ownership functions, let's say, in a form of inspection, in a form of assessment. So, an example nun, yung fire. So, kahit sa construction project, nag-inspect ang mga taga-Bureau of Fire Protection to check the FSIC. FSIC is Fire Safety Inspection Certificate. Pag may FSIC, yung isang project, ibig sabihin compliant siya sa Fire Code of the Philippines. Taxation and Regulation, that's BIRT. Federal, yan. Safety. National Labor Relation, HUD is Housing and Urban Development, Federal Highways, Environmental Protection, and several others. Ang equivalent natin dito yan, DNR, LGU, Department of Labor, Department of Energy. Well, it depends pa rin sa type of project. Pagka, let's say, power plant project, so definitely meron DOE yan. Pagka hospital project, meron DOH yan as non-ownership function, but of course, kasama sila for the monitoring. State, yung regional, historic preservation, labor, local, country, city, township, building officials, planning board, zoning commission. So ang equivalent natin dito yung mga city planning officer, municipal planning, municipal engineer, building officials, representative ng office ng mayor, quasi-government agencies, mga development authorities. So example, MMDA, yung Metropolitan Manila Development Authority, yung LLDA, Laguna Lake Development Authority. So they have a police function. Bridge and Turnpike Commissions. Number 9, mga utility companies. So syempre, kailangan ng coordination with temporary water, temporary electricity, temporary communication. So mga water body concessionaire natin. If in case your project will be Metro Manila, it's either you will coordinate with Manila Water and Maynilad. So sa electricity, at least Meral. For communication, landline, PLDT, or any other communication company. Yan, there. Mga kung needed na petroleum pipelines, owner or service providers, integral part of the process, existing facilities in conflict with the new construction. At saka, kasi, yung coordination with utility companies very important para at least ma-reduce, if not totally ma-eliminate ang interruption of service. Because very costly kapag ka nagkakaroon ng interruption. Saka nakakita ng construction activity sa gabi, walang ilaw. No? Magastos masyado yung may generator set. Maingay na, polluted pa. So, at least, lahat ng construction project right now is aiming to have at least a temporary power connections with electric companies. Industry association, sino-sino to? Organization of Construction Contractors. Sa atin yung Philippine Constructors Association. Mga organization of the design and management professions. Ito yung SECOFIL, PICE, ASEP, UAP. So, kasama. Kasi ito yung sinasabi kanina ni Ms. Timbas na yung mga industry experts shall also be consulted prior for any implementation para ma-apply yung mga existing guidelines, mga existing code for the safety and security of a particular project implementation. Construction material and equipment suppliers and product research, ACEL. Actually, kasama rito DOST, ITDI, so forth. Construction labor organizations, example to KMU at TUCP. In KMU, they are labor organization. TUCP is labor organization also. Minsan dito nakatayap yung mga workers who are forming their unions. KMU is Kilusang Mayo Uno, TUCP is the Trade Union Congress of the Philippines. Coordination and arbitration. So here, ito yung National Labor Relations Commission kapag kami nagre-reklamo workers regarding dun sa sinesweldo niya, sa pa-overtime, sa patrabaho. DOLE. DOLE is Department of Labor. ECC is the Employment Commission. SSS is, of course, Social Security System, especially if, let's say, a particular worker would like to access benefits of being a member. Inspection, specifications, and costs. Kasama yan sa industry associations. So kasama pa yung functions and services. So industry information communication. So sila yung nagde-disseminate ng let's say, tamang code, yung what's new with the implementation, the project, and so forth. Development and maintenance of standards, inter-industry coordination, collective bargaining, ito para sa mga labor unions, para across the board ang pag-increase. Halimbawa, each and every worker should receive an increase of around 10 pesos. Collective yun, ibig sabihin isa lang. Statistics as part of, let's say, market study at saka industry study. Meetings and conventions. No? So, kaya merong PIEs sa, at least for the civil engineer professional. So, merong convention na nagaganap. At least sa atin, ang practice twice a year. Isang mid-year, isang national. So, public relations. So, they are establishing, let's say, the presence of the, let's say, professional organization and how this organization can contribute to the success on the implementation of the project. Joint industry promotions, management education, so those industry associations can provide trainings, learning sessions, seminars to professionals, to workers. Market development, let's say market development is of course establishing the pros and the cons on the implementation of the project, and of course making that as lessons learned in the implementation of the project. Apprenticeship training, OJT, ito yung of course tie-up. Kaya bago pa nag-pandemic, yung mga makuha students, no, they undergo an apprenticeship training with the actual project site, tapos pinapadaan to sa mga industry association or yung tinatawag natin mga professional organization. At least sa CE, that's PIC. Legislative, so they provide batas, and of course the condition of the batas, so the incentives as well as the penalty if they will not follow that batas. Government relations, of course, to establish, of course, yung government functions with the implementation of the construction project. Product research, of course, siyempre, it's very advantageous for any particular company na maging included sa portfolio nila yung project na ginagawa nila. Para to improve further sa next time na kukuha sila ng project na the same ang capability. Number 11, mga professional services, business, management consultants, legal counsel, mga lawyers, CPA firms para sa financial statements, surety companies para sa mga insurances. Kasi why? Dito sa atin sa Pilipinas, kapag may project, normally, kailangan mag-provide ng insurance policy yung contractor para to ensure their client that they will faithfully deliver and implement the project. Sa madaling salita, ito ay guarantee na hindi nila iiwan yung project. Financial institutions, lenders, sino-sino yan? Mga bangko na kulang budget mo, may magpapautang. Insurance agents, so ito magkaka-tie up ng tatlo. Adjacent owners and the public at large, ibig sabihin ito yung community. So existing businesses, institutions, and residences adjacent to the constructed facility. Ibig sabihin ito yung mga directly affected. Once na implement na ng project, sino yung naaalikabukan, sino yung naiingayan, yan. So yung mga existing doon sa katabi. Adjacent owners and public at large. Civic organization, ito yung mga non-government organization, at saka yung mga community organization or community groups. Railroads and public lands. So for the project delivery organization, so construction by owners force, owner managed construction. Ibig sabihin, this is how the organization is being crafted. Construction by owners forces, owner managed construction, construction by general contractor, design build team, at saka construction management contract. This is how project delivery is being focused by this particular way of organizing project implementation. So when we say construction employing owner forces, so usually small in-house construction or renovations lang. Kasi why? Hindi na kumuha ng third party yung owner para mag-monitor ng project. Yung progress ng project, sila lang ang nagmo-monitor. Owner forces ang tawag. Industrial projects or institutional such as hospitals or schools. Tapos number 2, owner-managed construction. Owner-managed. So pag may owner-managed, merong developers applicable sa mga commercial buildings or residential buildings. Industrial or institutional also. Number 3 is construction by general contractor, also referred as the prime or the main contractor, most common method of delivery. So ibig sabihin, yung total responsibility of implementing the project is of course nasa responsibility ng main contractor. And that's the most common, which is happening right now in the Philippines. Contractor bears substantial risks and financial responsibility. So meron silang, of course, may mga paunang, let's say, bayad sila, tapos yung mga financial liability if in case they need to utang or let's say to lease a property or an equipment, meron siya talagang risks. Facility designed by in-house architect, engineer, or by design consultant. Ibig sabihin, yung ginagawa ng general contractor is being designed by it's either the in-house engineer or architect or hinire na consultant ng often requires specialty subcontractors para to simplify further. Later on, we'll be discussing why does main contractor get subcontractors. Ano ang advantage at saka ano disadvantage. Specialty contractors might include those specializing in one of the following. So ito yung mga contract, pinapa-specialized contract. Ibig sabihin, yung main contractor kumukuha ng ganitong klase na specialty contractor. Number 1, excavation. So pwedeng tagahukay ng, let's say, ng pagtatayuan ng building. Pwede ring steel erection. Specialty contractor for concrete. Whether cast in place or precast. For masoning and plumbing. For clearing and graving. For blasting and demolition. Electrical works. Painting works. Heat, ventilation, and air conditioning. In HVAC, heat, ventilation, and air conditioning. So, specialty contractor gumagawa. Environmental remediation, let's say bioremediation, phytoremediation, para let's say hindi kumalat yung, let's say, yung toxic substances that might harm the environment. And many others. Kasi why? Of course, it's really to simplify and of course, para mabawasan yung manpower management ng main contractor. For the design, build, scheme, or the turnkey, it could be single firm or team responsible for design and construction that minimize coordination problem. At least isa lang kinakausap. So yung designer at saka yung contractor, isa lang. More efficient designs with the interjection of constructability and innovation. Ito, sinasabi ng statement ito that the design is realistic kasi it can be constructed immediately and with innovation. Kasi isa lang ang gumagawa. Designer and, of course, at the same time, contractor. Often employs fast-track construction para mabawasan yung red tape, para mabawasan yung coordination, yung approval, and so forth. Benefits include reduced overall delivery time and one-stop shopping. One-stop shopping for the owner kasi why? Yung representative lang ng design, build, or turnkey contractor is isa, yun lang ang kakausapin ng owner. So, pagka may tanong si owner about design, yun din ang sasagot. Pagka may tanong si owner about dun sa implementation, sa project activities, project percentage, project status, yun din ang kakausapin. So, one-stop shopping kung tawag. Ay, disadvantages include complexity of evaluation ito. So parang Superman yung mag-evaluate. If you have great minds, of course, and you can think complex, so basically, pasok kayo sa finals dito as one representative by turnkey contract. So sa CM contract, it could be fee-based management services only or also referred to as agents. So ito yung hinahire ng owner para mag-provide ng project management service sa implementation ng project. Specialized construction skills through all project stages. So yung project stages natin from pre-planning and up to operation. Provides close coordination between design and construction, eliminates impact of conflict of interest, independent and objective evaluation of costs, schedules, and performance. Para yung owner, meron siyang, let's say, something to compare with doon sa sinasabit ng contractor niya, dapat merong check and balance. Kaya siya kumukuha ng construction management or project management team. Ito yung trabaho niyan, mag-provide ng independent. Ibig sabihin, hindi nakabase doon sa estimate ni contractor. So, para hindi siya bias. Potential saving in time and cost. So the disadvantages lang includes no risk associated with cost and risk. So CM contract at risk naman, so the construction management assumes financial risk similar to a general contractor. CM manages all phases of the work without performing any actual work tasks. So ibig sabihin, they some sort of the phases of the work or activities. Number 3, construction management only there are management personnel. Tao lang to. So wala silang materials, wala silang office, wala silang specialized equipment, kundi management lang na personnel. Ibig sabihin, yung engineer lang ang naroon. Contractors, subcontractors have a direct contract privately with CM. At least itong contractors, subcontractors, hindi na nila kailangan dumiretso kay owner. Bakit? Dito na siya pupunta kay CM, kay construction management, to air their concerns about billing, about their estimate, their schedule, their inspection, and so forth and so on, or any other project implementation related concerns. Contract form is often a negotiated guaranteed maximum price arrangements. So ang disadvantages, ayan, lack of impartiality. Question? So we know already the stakeholders, though they are important. So alam niyo na kung sino ang, hindi, huwag natin gamitin ni EPAL, ang pangit nun eh. Yung pumapapel para maganda. Pumapapel sa construction project. Kaya minsan may makikita kayo pumupunta doon, hindi nyo alam kung sino yun. Yung pala, they are part of any construction activities. Minsan may makikita kayong pulis doon, bombero. Kasama ba ito sa tinuro ni Sir? Kasama ba sila sa stakeholders of the project? Plus, when we say stakeholders, ito yung mga actors or directly affected by your project. At the construction manager, yung kayo, if you're a project manager someday by 5 years, you need to learn how to coordinate with them, how to, how to make negotiation and discussions with them. Okay? So the table is now open for any question.
Sir?
Yes.
Madalas po ba yung mga turnkey sa mga governmental projects po? Government projects?
So far, no? So far ngayon, medyo natutunan konti yung gobyerno. So para ma-minimize yung madaming pinagdadaanan ng dokumento and so forth. So nauso na ngayon yung turnkey contracts. Para of course yung level ng liability and responsibility and accountability of the contractor is very high.
Pero sir, di po ba may risk kasi let's say magbibigay po ng project yung government, tapos yung contractor po magbibigay po siya ng like total billing from sa quantity surveyor niya po, ganun. Tapos syempre po wala naman po siyang kaaway sa sir, syempre sila rin yung gagawa after nun, so parang like pwede nilang taasan yung value ng project, ganun, for the budget. Di po ba risky yung ganun, sir?
Before entering a particular entity to become a turnkey contract, specifically sa government, no? meron na kagad declared value yung project. So if you're the turnkey contractor, binigay ni government 500 million, kailangan mong pagkasahin yung 500 million. Kasi sasabihin ng government, we don't have any applicable cost for variations. Kasi clear naman siya. Kaya nga, hindi, pagka turnkey contract, hindi sila nagbibigay ng budget yung government. I-design mo, i-estimate mo, bago mo sasabihin yung final cost mo kay government. Halimbawa, ay sir, base sa design namin, ako yung turnkey contractor, tapos gagawa ako ng MRT4. Ako nagagawa ng MRT4 yung Shaw Boulevard, Rizal, alignment. Ako ang turnkey contractor. So, siyempre, pag turnkey contractor ka, ako nag-design, ako nag-risk assessment. So, sir, ang ano namin dito, estimate namin po dito sa design, sa implementation, sa commissioning, all in all, 1 billion. Kaya dapat si turnkey contractor mag-iingat sa pagsasabi ng ganong cost. Bakit? Pag nalumabas na yun sa figure, si government, itatali na yun 1 billion. So, ibig sabihin, ano intuition? The government will make asa that you as a turnkey contractor will implement, finish, and operate the project at a cost of 1 billion. Now, clear? So, walang variation order to. Kasi bakit? Ikaw designer eh. Bakit mo babaguhin ngayon? Ikaw nag-design yan. Kasalanan ba namin yan? Ng gobyerno? Di ba hindi? Kasi ikaw nag-submit eh. Kaya dapat, there should be careful as a turnkey contract.
So sir, sa mga biddings lang po pala yung ano, sir, yung contractor yung magbibigay ng price.
Exactly the point. Oh, pagka turnkey, parang ang tawag dyan, marinig niya to later on, unsolicited proposal. Hindi pa bidding, hindi bid ang tawag doon, unsolicited proposal. Parang yung smart magic ng Comelec, yung turnkey yun turnkey contract yun. Kaya nag-dictate sila, that's 800 million para maging smart magic yung magiging election ng 2016, tama? Yung mga PCOS machine, di ba? Tama? Yun ang ginagamit. So, pag sumablay yun at 800 million, ibig sabihin, contractor's risk yun. Kung lumagpas na yung kanilang expenses sa 800, hindi na babayaran ng government yun. That's the risk naman of the turnkey contract. Okay ba, Mr. David?
Sir, okay po.
Meron pa tayo separate ano niyan. Ay hindi, sa CE155 yan. Ang masyado ko mag-advance pagtanong eh. May subject dyan, CE155. Siguro next 3 terms. After nito, next 3 terms. Kasabay ng Res 100 at saka ng ano ba? Ano ba kasabay nun? Yeah. Basta yun, parang pagka nandun ka na sa subject na yun, feeling mo ka-graduate ka na.
Sir.
Kaya gawin mo parang inspiration yun. Itong tinanong ko ay, sir, pang CE155 pala to, pero at least meron akong tinutungo, meron akong direction. Alam ko na yung gusto kong mangyari being civil engineer. Di ba? Makes sense na? Oh, question pa?
Sir, may question po.
Mrs. Spiritu, you there?
Yes po, sir.
Let's go.
Sir, pwede po bang ma-halt yung construction project if, example po, yung neighbor po nagreklamo kasi nabablock po yung view niya or noisy po during construction, ganun. Pwede po bang ma-halt or completely matigil po yung construction project?
Yeah, ang ganda ng question. Yeah, Mrs. Spiritu. Actually, may possibility na mapatigil yun. Right? Kasi prior for any project implementation, di ba? Tama. Ang like ko sinasabi, kailangan mag-secure muna kayo ng inyong permit. Yung permit nyo, merong building permit galing kay City Hall, kay munisipyo, kay Mayor, sa office ni Mayor. Tapos, may permit din dapat ang project nyo galing sa DENR. Kasi sa DNR, nandyan yung environmental impact. Noise, alikabok, wastewater, na yung mga possible impact ng project implementation is nakalagay doon sa environmental compliance certificate on the way to mitigate it. Tapos, doon sa process na yon, isinasama doon that kinonsult ninyo ang public via public consultation. Ibig sabihin, walang nagre-resist for the implementation of the project. So, kaya siguro nagre-reklamo yon, una, kasi hindi siya na invite during public consultation. Number 2, absent siya, or should you say, invite siya pero hindi siya nakarating, kaya hindi niya alam ano yung nangyayari. Or third is that he or she really wants to stop that particular project. Ganun lang, mga naiinggit, pwede naman. Naiinggit ako dun kasi gagawing 4-story bahay niya, samantalang ako 3-story lang with loft. Kakainggit naman, tigil na natin yan. Dapat ako lang makapataas ng bahay dito. Pwede yun. Kaya dapat, hindi lang puro magandang design. Hindi lang dapat project, yung pera, available na yung pera, available na yung tao, available na yung materials. Dapat meron ding known public consultation. Ibig sabihin, parang per se, pinagpaalam ninyo sa community. Kasi pinakamabigat na kalaban sa isang project implementation ay ang common tao. Pag nagsalita yan, alam niyo, may patulpo ngayon, mga ganon, di ba? Kahit wala namang kapararakan yan, gaganunin yan. Di ba? Na media ka, na social media ka. So, that will be a hindrance para yung project mo is ma-stop. Kuha? So, dapat, Mrs. Spiritu, halimbawa, if you're the project manager na, tatanong mo lang kay client, ma'am, sir, bago tayo mag-implement po ng project, we really have to inform our community that sa site na ito, itatayo po natin yung project via public consultation. Tapos yan po ay gaganapin sa barangay para po si barangay chairman po ang magiging para moderator natin para each and everyone is well informed para po pag nag-implement na tayo, wala po tayong maririnig na problema or reklamo. Di ba? Make sense now. Tama?
Thank you po, sir.
You're welcome.
Sir, yung permit, yung yung parang nakatarpaulin sa harap ng mga construction.
Ano lang yun? Maraming permit. But definitely, syempre, it should be publicly disclosed. Tama yun. Mga naka-tarpaulin sa harap ng project site and so forth. Mr. Umandap, okay ka pa?
Yes po, sir.
Do you have, what's on your mind? Share mo naman.
Sir, nire-recap ko. Sir, ano po yun?
Napapagot ka na sa akin?
Hindi po, Yung kasi mga questions, mga classmates ko, rin, iniisip ko rin, nire-recap ko lang din sa mga previous subjects ko po.
Talaga? May mga previous subjects ka?
Yes, sir. Hindi po actually ako CE. CE ako.
Oh! So you're very good in construction engineering and management? Tama ba?
May konting alam, sir.
Konti lang? Oh.
Like yes po. You could say na may knowledge na po. So, familiar na po sa contract administration, yung mga types of contracts yung mga types of contract pag construction, yung mga lump sum contract, progressive contracts, and yung mga safety,
Oo.
safety and loss pag during and after construction. And
Okay. Mr. Romanda, may question ako sa'yo.
Sige po.
How do you find my discussion now? Na nakita mo, kayo may sarili kayong subject sa CM. Ako, ini-integrate ko na sa subject na ito. Pero, iyan, pagharap namin sa ethics, i-discuss ko pa rin ng iba't ibang contracts. Pagharap namin sa CE155 sa estimate is tuturo ko pa ang value engineering. So, how do you find my
refreshing.
discussion? Honest ha? Honest. I want an
Kasi
honest
mostly, yung mga ibang topics na diniscuss namin sa, CM program is hindi in-depth or kulang sa mga details. So parang na-added detail yung knowledge namin po.
Okay. So, ibig sabihin, malalim itong napag-uusapan natin. Nakakatuwa, no? Is, you valid that one?
Just po. Parang ganun.
Hindi, ako, parang, Sir Amanda, ayoko masyadong palaliman kasi mga bata pa itong mga classmate mo dito. So, medyo, tamo pinipigilan ko sarili ko mag-discuss ng ethics, ng contracts, ng estimate kasi merong specific subject silang kukuhain dyan later on. Pero sa CM, talagang scrutinize yan as far as I check the programming right now. Even the batas about safety, correct, Mr. Amanda?
Yes po. Kinover rin po namin yun. Occupational Safety Law and Bureau of Working Conditions.
RA 1105E, the new Oslo. So alam na. So far, I'll make myself focus and naka-construction management lang. Yun lang muna. Okay? Thank you, Mr. Amanda, for that info. May question pa?
Sure.
Ay, that's it. Oh yeah, Mr. David.
Ayaw niyo po i-try mag-discuss kahit ng konting in-depth. Baka kasi pag nandun na po kami sa future subjects, hindi na po kayo yung prof namin eh. Sayang din.
Ayoko pa din, Mr. David.
Baka sir, hindi in-depth, sayang eh.
Tanong ka na lang tanong ka na lang sa Messenger o kaya sa FB page, right? Kasi ako, in as much as, I really wanted to, pinipreserve ko talaga yung what's stored for you as new learnings pa doon. Pero tinatouch na rin natin siya. Kasi ako, ang point of view ko right now is, of course, I am with the project management for the last 22 years. So lahat ng skills ko ay tina-translate ko na sa inyo. Hindi ko nga lang alam kung paano ko papakita yung Primavera sa inyo as a software para dun sa, let's say, as a tool to manage the project. Pero, tagapagturo rin ako kasi before ng MicroCAD. I'm teaching MS project there. Yun. Sayang kasi yung pagkakataon niya. Pero, sabi ko nga, kung given the opportunity na magkaroon na tayo ng F2 face-to-face comes the next 2 terms or 3 terms, pwede naman kayo mag-recall back. Tapos, sir, ito yung tinuro mo lang ganito. Sir, can I get? Maganon. Pwede naman. Ini-scale down ko lang talaga. Pero kung yung iba nga tapos nilileverage ko pa lang, Mr. David, in discussion. Liliman na lang ang nagsasalita. What more itataas ko pa? Diba? Ako okay lang sa akin yan kung hindi naman sila interesado, which is okay lang. Pero one thing's for sure, I will assure you, kung ano yung sinasabi ko right now, yan din ang mapapakinggan nyo pag umattend kayo ng PICE convention, umattend kayo ng project management, or any other learning session outside of the school. Babayad pa kayo ng mapakalaki. Para yun lang ang mapapakinggan. Sinabi na ni Sir CUETO dapat pala nakinig na pala ako sa kanya nun. Dapat pala hindi na lang ako nagdodota nung nagsusum meeting kami. Diba? Or dapat pala, hindi pala ako balis dun sa mesa ko. Kahit parang radyo lang, nakikinig ako. Something like that. Kasi one thing's for sure, kasi it's really a repetitive. Ako nga 20 years on the project management. Alam niyo ba kung ano yung natin ko? Basic project management. Oh my gosh. Yun nga lang, iba nagpo-provide. Ang nagpo-provide ay Project Management Institute. Ibig sabihin, international organization. Something like that. Baka may bago lang, kaya ako ma-attend. Parang wala. Pagka wala, I make sure naka-intact ako kasi why? I really want a more sharing with, with my students. Kasi after all, you're my client here. And I really doesn't want you to fail these things out when it comes to the expectation. Kasi I'm living with the expectation of other people's to me. And it makes sense to me and it really matters. Kaya nga, kapag ang expectation nyo is matuto lang, mababaw sa akin yun. Pag natuto kayo, una, tinuturuan ko lang kayong umattend ng klase. Di ba, natuto na kayo, tapos na ang expectation. want an honest to goodness answer of the expectation before. Pero at least,
Sir,
yeah,
kasi may tanong lang po ako. Medyo malabo po kasi para sa akin. Ano pong pinagkaiba po ng general contractor sa construction manager po?
anong pinagkaiba ng
General contractors po sa construction manager.
right. When we are pertaining to the organization, yung general contractor, sila yung prime or the main contractor who will directly implement a project. Yung kaninang discussion kung construction manager, this is equivalent to the project managers. They are also a company who are hired by the owner para mag-serve as mag-monitor, mag-coordinate ng design at saka ng implementation ng main contractor to them. They are separate, right? So merong construction manager organization na merong project manager. Yung general contractor, meron ding project manager. Kuha?
Okay po, sir. Thank you po.
Yun na, yun lang yun. Ibig sabihin, they are separate company. So, si owner nag-hire ng contractor, tama? Kaya lang, ayaw ni owner na kachika si contractor kasi maingay. So, kumuha uli siya ng company na sasalita para sa kanya, makikinig para sa kanya, kukuha ng report para sa kanya. Sa gitna nila, which is the construction manager or the construction management company. Tapos, anong gagawin niya? Bibigyan lang siya ng utos kay CM. Si CM ang magbibigay ng bababa ng instruction kay general contractor. So ngayon, si general contractor hindi na kailangan pumunta kay owner. Kasi kung anong sasabihin niya kay owner, sasabihin niya rin kay construction manager. So sila na lang ngayon ang sa madalit salita, the CM is the owner's representative pagdating sa project implementation. Questions so far?
Sir,
Mr.
May tanong po ako.
Yes, Ms. Bermundo.
Nabanggit niyo po tatanong ko kasi sa construction po ba, regardless gaano kalaki yung structure, kinakailangan po ba ng building permit? Kasi po, meron pong mga residential building na tinatayo pero parang wala pong involved na engineer. Parang foreman lang po yung gumagawa.
Okay. So, unang question kaagad is anong location? Right? Anong location? Residential, exclusive subdivision, non-exclusive subdivision, sa commercial area, and so forth and so on. So, yun na kaagad ang titignan mo. Number 2, ano ang intention ng bahay? 2-story ba to? 3-story ba to? 1-story ba to? Kasi normally, in a nutshell, no, kapag ka 2-story with, let's say more than 3, 6, more than 7 meters ang height ng bahay, kailangan na siya ng building permit. Basta aabot siya lang. Ibig sabihin yun, 2-story with roof deck or 3-story pataas. Kasi why? Kailangan nang i-involve doon ng earthquake or seismic loading. Pero yung 2-story, wala pa yun. So it could be for the barangay itself. Pero dun sa mga exclusive subdivision, especially kapag may higpiting mga homeowners association, pinapakuhaan nila yan ng building permit. Pero kapag mababa lang, one single story, kay barangay lang yan, okay na. May mga area na si barangay ang nagbibigay kasi it will not cause any structural risk o kaya let's say health risk nung implementation ng project sa community. Pero automatic kahit anong city to, pag lumagpas ng 2-story, required ng earthquake or seismic analysis. Pag may seismic analysis, required ng building permit.
sir. Thank you po.
Welcome. Any more questions?
Sir,
Sino yun?
ako po, Charlie, sa Matesa po.
Ay, yeah. Question.
Kapag po ba sa project, kailangan po ubusin yung budget po, yung binigay? Like, kasi po meron po kasi akong nadaanan na project na sa gate lang po siya.
Okay.
Ang budget po na nakalagay is 3 million.
Oh.
Meron po bang, parang maliit lang po kasi yung gate, pero may possibility po bang umabot ng 3 million yung ganun sa gate?
Well, if we are talking of the project management side, we can't help about it if the contractor or the owner declared that the gate is 3 million. When it comes to your second question, whether ubusin ang budget na 3 million for the project, it does not necessarily follows. No? Sa amin, I was with the contractor, this is my first job. Ang job namin sa EEI, being the project management group, we make sure that we finish the project ahead of time or on time with lesser expenses. Meaning, yung katulad ng project namin sa MRT, that's around 1996, that's 454 million pesos. That 454 million pesos, ang binudget lang, 454, that's the contract already. Pero yung 454 is, kami being the project management team to implement the project, is in-scale down namin ng around 396. So may difference na 54 plus 4, 58. Yung 58 million, yan yung target profit ni EEI. So ngayon, tatanungin mo sa akin, parang ganito lang, Sir, obligado ba kayo na ubusin yung 396 for the project? Ibig sabihin, it doesn't necessarily mean na obligado kami, but that will be our maximum expenses to deliver the project. Ibig sabihin, hindi kami pwedeng lumagpas dyan, lalong-lalo na kung wala namang variation order. So, kung magkakaroon ng variation order, kailangan mo mag-perform ng value engineering and rehash estimate or yung tinatawag na quantity survey. Pero as much as possible, dineclare na ni project manager na, yeah, we will make gastos of this 396. Parang yung ganun lang, sa gate, 3 million to. Pero, Mr. Sabantesa, pwede lang i-deliver ang gate ng 1 million lang. Anong gagawin nila sa 2 million?
Doon po sa
Sabi na sa
pag-EI.
yung tinatawag na PCSB,
Kaklase
Project
po ako
Cost Savings Bonus. So,
Okay, thank you
of
po.
course,
May klase
sa amin
po
din
kasi
sa
ako.
team din ng project management kami
Hello
nagko-compute
po.
yan. Halimbawa,
Si Fred.
si project manager, ang monthly niya is around, during that time, 1996, 50,000. Construction manager, 40,000. Tapos after ng construction manager, group supervisor, tapos engineer 2, engineer 1, junior, tapos yung labor na. Yung makukuha niya from that savings is base doon sa rate niya. So, syempre, mas mataas si project manager compared doon sa ordinary labor namin. So, percentage pa rin siya. At ang tawag namin doon is retro computation.
So, maganda rin po, sir, kung yung kliyente po, nyo po mayaman.
It does not necessarily mean, feeling ko ako, mas maganda kung ang project management team magaling. Ibig sabihin, masyadong meticuloso sa cost, meticuloso sa budget, meticuloso sa resources, na hindi masyadong gastos ng gastos to implement something kasi later on, yung maiipon nila na savings doon. I don't know with the other company, kasi sa EI ganun ginawa namin. Na ano man yung mai-save namin doon, that will be shared among us doon sa mga, when I was in EI, I was senior senior engineer ako noon. Nakatanggap ako 75,000 pesos for that particular project. 75,000, malaki na yun, parang yaman-yaman mo na nun. Kasi ang sweldo ko lang nun, 5,200 per month.
Ano kaya ako? Gulo eh.
Imagine 5,200, eh, gusto ko pang ML nyo lang yan eh. Nalala nyo? 5,000. Yeah, welcome.
Sir, totoo po ba yung
Ayun, naghintay lang ng pagkain.
Totoo po ba yung naririnig ko lang, sir, na pag nasa na daw, mas pinag-uusapan pa daw nila yung mga costing kaysa sa project?
Of course, hindi. Merong implementer talaga. May group. Kami. Wala naman. To tell you honestly, and very frankly, kami, pag sa project management team, we're talking of the cost. Araw-araw yun. Palagi. Kami yung nagagalit sa warehouse na, ayaw, pabili kayo ng pabili. Yung ganon. May grupo talaga ng engineers na ganon. At yan ay makikita nyo sa project management team. Sa team namin sa EI yun. Pero may mga engineers din na ang tawag dito, pinag-usapan is about implementation. Pero syempre, sa department namin, kasi kami pupukpukin ng may-ari ng EI. Sino ba may-ari ng EI? Di ba yung may-ari rin ng Mapua? Alam nyo ba yun? Isa lang may-ari nun, Mapua at saka EI. Magkano yung target? Laging tatanungin, magkano yung target? Ano yung profit natin, margin natin, kikita ba tayo dyan? Kasi sasabihin nila na, kung hindi tayo kikita dyan, tigilan natin yung project na yan. Parang gano'n. Diba? At tayo magsasayang ng effort.
Patapos na ba siya?
Patapos na.
Kung merong isang department na ang laging pinag-uusapan ay kaperahan, gastos, pagtitipid, it is our department, project management.
Hi, sir.
And walang masama doon. Kasi why? Palagi doon nakafocus yung, of course, yung mga principal ng company.
Pwede ka rin pumili, sabi ni Biko ah.
Dito nga pwede pumili.
Pwede ka magtanong.
Ang problema, yung nasa Manggaan, Pfizer lang.
Sir,
Yes.
kapag malaki po yung budget, yun din po ba yung dahilan kung bakit yung iba po tinitipid po yung materials? Yung
Bakit siya natatakot?
Pag malaki,
Sa same side.
hindi, actually, hindi mo naman pwedeng tipirin na maliit din yung sweldo. Hindi.
Ano?
Naaayon
sa
pa rin sa
quality
batas.
po ng materials.
Ay, hindi rin pwede. Sa amin, I'm just speaking of yung previous company ko, EI. Kailangan compliant siya basta sa requirement ni owner na dapat quality yung materials na ikakabit doon. Kasi hindi naman nila tinipid yung pagbabayad dun sa kontrata. Ibig sabihin, kung ano yung nasa existing market, dinagdagan pa nga nila. Kaya bakit mo pa sila titipirin? Yung sinasabi mong nangyayari ngayon at tungkol dyan, ang tawag dyan ay fraud. Intentional na pandaraya yan. So,
Sir,
nagre-resulta
naano ko lang rin, sir, sa tanong niya. Yung may naano lang rin sa akin, narinig ko lang rin sa mga dito. Na yun nga daw, sir, yung sa yung sa materials, sir, na pwede namang alternative materials dun sa ilalagay nila dun na mas mura, yun yung nilalagay. Parang kunyari, sir.
Actually, yung alternatives, lahat ng alternatives, halimbawa, ito, bigyan ko ng example lang. Sinabi ng owner, ng kliyente ninyo, ang semento na gagamitin nyo rito ay Holcim. Only. Nakalagay yung sa specs, ibig sabihin sa kontrata. Now, yung Holcim, alam niyo naman ang quality niyan medyo maganda. Tapos tatanungin niyo ako, pwede ba akong mag-provide ng alternative kay Holcim? Siyempre, bago kayo gumamit ng alternative, you have to make the client approve that alternative. Kasi Holcim is, of course, compliant yan sa ASTM CE168 yung klase, yung quality of the materials. Therefore, gusto mo bigyan alternative, edi kumuha ka rin ng brand ng semento na compliant kay ASTM C150. Example, Republic Cement. Magkano si Holcim? 250. Magkano si RCC? Yung Republic, magkano? 209. Ang laki na matitipid, no? Tama? So, meron na difference kagad ng 41 pesos per bag. Pero, titingnan nyo muna kung acceptable kay owner. Para maging acceptable kay owner, bigyan nyo siya ng copy ng inspection and the test result. Tapos,
May nanguhuli daw talaga
Yun
dito
lang.
sa Pasig pag wala ka mask.
So basically nangyayari sir, nadideceive yung uneducated sa mga construction, mga sir, nagpapagawa. Ganun po ba sir?
Hindi, okay lang din siya. Sabihin, kaya nga yung although slower ang acceptance natin ng technology, it's very important that we have all alternatives. Sinabi mo lang wholesome na kagad. Wala na semento, iba. Paano na lang ipinag-aaralan natin sa material testing? Tama, engineering materials. Nag-break pa kayo ng semento, ng silindro, di ba? Yung chinek nyo pa yung tensile strength, yung bending, at saka yung compressive niya. Di ba? Hindi naman wholesome lang ang semento sa buong mundo. Do you understand the point? So you, as the project management, so hindi nyo pwedeng i-deny yun. Halimbawa, kayo representative ng owner, tapos contractor, sir, hindi na po kasi, lalo ngayon pagka ang reason is, sir, masyadong very rare po yung supply ni wholesale. Baka pwede pong mag-submit ng alternative. Yun. Hindi nyo siya pwedeng i-deny. Di tatanggapin nyo lang yung kanyang proposal. After receiving proposal, provide that evidence that this is in compliance with doon sa requirement ni policy. Ganun lang. That's project management. That's skill. Ang tawag doon is, of course, discernment. Para semento yan Babut sana yung Republic Cement, merong mga tawag yun, alikabok. Tapos si wholesale puro. Yun. Iba yun. Diba? Kaya nga nagsasabi tayo ng physical, chemical, saka mechanical properties ng cement.
Thank you po sir.
So our next lecture, bigyan ko lang kayo ng precursor. Nakita ba? So this is project management requisites. Now we are entering project management. What are the things that we have to understand with project management? So we'll be defining project. Hopefully, dapat by this time, you submitted already the assignment. No? I'm checking the assignment later. So siguro I'll be posting it on our FB page who made it to the assignment. Pero yung lecture 3 ko, it's the continuation on Tuesday. Lectures 3 and 4 tayo. By this time, class, dapat medyo, baka meron pa kayong mga green eyes sa mga kagrupo. Dapat by this time, you started coordinating with the group. So, kailangan na-establish nyo na yung separate meeting nyo with the group, what are the things to be done, and so forth. Teka lang, bago tayo magtapos, kailangan kong maipakita sa inyo yung although naipakita ko na sa inyo ito, i-capitalize ko lang ulit para alam nyo ano ina-expect ko doon sa presentation. Ito papakita ko lang ulit ito, no? Right? Para yung level of expectation pagdating sa presentation ninyo on the 4th week. So, yung minimum requirement. So, basically, this is the title. So, you have the title. So, kagad-agad, kahit sa title pa lang, mababasa nyo na kagad ano objective ng project nila. It's there. So, syempre, state the case, state the problem. What's the problem that they want to solve? No? Tapos, they have some sort of, let's say, initial investigation on possible locations ng project nila. And this is their proposal. So, dinescribe lang nila yung objectives. So, ito yung mga objectives nila. Why the project is being proposed because of this one. 1, 2, 3, 4 objectives. Minimum number of objectives is 3. Okay lang. No? Huwag niya masyadong palamin. 3 objective lang. Then, of course, this is the description. Number of floors, GFA 800 at saka 245, site areas, tapos yung component, vehicle base, parking area, something like that, terminal. Right? So, eto. So, not to scale ang ginawa nilang drawing dito, pero they want to convey that this particular proposal has this 1, this 2, this 3, and this 4. Then the number of units, they emphasize what are those items or the component of the project. May ticket booth, may takeout stall, meron 16 sitter chairs na 8, saka isang clinic for let's say isolation room. So ito part of the project component. So the project, ito yung kanilang configuration para they have the idea of how does the project will look like. Description, gross floor area. Project location, so exact, no? Project location, it's here. This is in Iloilo City. So what are the existing facilities? So they highlighted schools, their government offices present dun sa vicinity, hotels and churches. So side by side, they got the actual pictures that are existing dun sa area nila. Yung utilities nila, they have this one, the water district of the Iloilo, the electricity provider, and both for PECO at saka dun sa Star Power. These are the project assignments. As I'm saying you, yung isang member can get 2, like just like project equipment, knowledge areas, project methodology, project statements, and so forth and so on. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Ganun lang kasimple. So hindi na kailangang pahabaan. O, may idea na? O, question on that.
Sir, yung ano po, yung pinakita niyo sir, masisend niyo po ba sir or hindi po? Hindi ba?
Ano? Ano, sorry?
Meron dyan.
Yung presentation po na yun sir,
Kahit lang.
Ay, ano?
masisend niyo po ba sa amin sir ng file or
titignan ko. Right. Pipili pa ako ng iba pa. Kasi currently, actually, kaya medyo pinakita ko lang yun kasi kinonvert nila yun sa CE project, right na, no? At saka sa thesis nila. Yung grupong yun. So yung 3 doon sa members ng 5, yun yung kanilang thesis 2 na ngayon. Thesis 2, kaya lang, in-include lang nila dun sa project nila para maging thesis yung implementation ng traffic impact assessment para makuha yung modal share dun sa, of course, sa sustainability ng terminal na yun. So, ibig sabihin, nakalink na siya. So, tapos, nung akong instructor nila sa research, yun din ang sinabit nila sa
Itong subukan sa off-road, di ba? Tanggal yan. Pero malamang hindi naman siguro.
sa
Kakanan pala ako.
Res 100. So, sequence cost measure sa
Nagbago.
Hindi ko nakita. Sa baba kasi, bago ako.
thesis at high profile yung subject na yun. Hindi na tuloy-tuloy sa thesis para you have an idea. Pero pare-pares pa rin ng, should I say, component ng preliminary presentation. Para hindi tayo ma-fall sa intellectual property. Mr. Romandap, ka-graduate ka na ba?
Opo, last ano ko na po ito, subject. Tapos, currently I'm taking thesis 2 and CM project 2. Ang hindi ko pa lang natitake is OJT 1 and 2.
Okay, so graduate ka lang pala.
Is yung OJT.
Ay, putik may hams.
Direction na naman ang...
Yung sabi kasi sa amin, most likely magiging Coursera, iniiwasan ko po yun.
Okay, yeah.
Dito mahal
Sana makakuha ka ng permission na makapag-report sa kahit isang project site.
Yes po.
Company.
Ay, putik.
Sa lecture number 7 ko, I'll be give you... Teka, tignan ko kung kaya ko
Wait, ay. Matapon-tapon yung pagkain.
Hindi, nasa ilalim. Andito yung pagkain ni Luto.
Para-
Hindi mo na dyan nakamit mga
I'll check.
Ganda na.
Masira suspension natin pagka nabigla na hams.
Ayun, may hams.
No, I will just show you sa module 2 of that. Kasi why? We are sa company namin, we are implementing, kami ang nagko-construct ng building ng Public Attorney's Office located sa Commonwealth Avenue. So this is an 11-story building. So this is worth 998 million. So close to 1 billion. That's phase 1.
Mas maganda yung Caltex. Pagka shell, parang ang tagal
So far, yun ang ano namin. So nilagyan ko ng documentation via video. So nagpalipad kami ng drone kasi kinover namin pati yung excavation na so far ngayon is nakatayo na siya, nasa second floor na siya. Okay, dahil dyan, I think we'll call this the end of our presentation of our Zoom class. Unless you have question, kung may question pa, just say it. Then, pagka wala na, yes.
Anong suspension?
Sir, meron lang po akong concern kasi I always find my parents po na problem to. So, ang pinaka nagiging projects po kasi this yung sa mga relocation sites po. Ganun po.
Okay.
Talagang binig pa ni ate yung ano mo, yung bake mo.
Pero pumakit doon
So, what trade? Kasi po, meron po silang na-encounters isang city po in somewhere in region 3. And yung mayor po, since di ba po binibid din po yun yung mga relocation sites. So they offered po, parang they estimated the cost po nung project nung relocation sites. And it turned out naging 4 million. And then nagbigay po ng order si mayor na make it 6 or 7. Ganun po. So paano po mag-deal sa ganong situation?
Tapos na yung klase niya eh.
Kasi sila, yung parents ko po, wala po silang nagawa, ginawa po nilang ganun. Kasi po parang they are somehow afraid po. Kasi di ba nahahaluan po ng politics po yung project.
Okay.
Ako na gano'n.
Anyway, kasi ganito yan. Yung mga projects, whether project ng government, whether local, when we say local, yung mga munisipyo, city, municipality, or national, like of DPWH, DPTR, meron silang tinatawag na ABC. ABC of the project. When we say ABC of the project, that is the approved budget for contract. Ibig sabihin, this is the amount lang na inaaprubahan ng City Council, ng Department of Budget and Management to undertake a specific work with this amount lang. Now, I think yung project na binabanggit mo is hindi nakalagay doon sa pipeline project ni Mayor. So, kung babasahin mo dun sa club niya, yung Comprehensive Land Use Plan at saka sa AIP or yung tinatawag na Annual Investment Plan of the City, ibig sabihin, dito nakalista yung mga project na ibibid nila, i-implement nila. Pag wala yung project ng relocation doon, wala ka nakita doon, ibig sabihin, this is an open-ended project. This is a mayor's project, a personal's project. Kaya lang, kahit personal proposal ni mayor, still gagamitin pa rin ay pera ng gobyerno. Meaning, wala itong ABC. Hindi ito na-estimate ng simultaneous. And thus, siguro nakapadded, nire-require ni mayor na nakapad yung certain amount, I think, certain amount. Kasi yung disbursement is diretso sa kanila. Ibig sabihin yung paglalabas kapag ka na-award na yung project. So, 4 million yung let's say yung relocation site. Pero ang gusto ni Mayor is parang 6 million, tama? Ganon.
Yes po, tama.
So ngayon ang gagawin ng mga dun sa 4 million na yon, kailangan it should be submitted to the office of the mayor para makita niya yun. Tapos sila ang gagawa. Don't let the contractor will do that. Kasi why? Kasi it's really very hard na alam mo yun, i-incorporate nyo doon. Although, kumbaga, ino-open-ended mo na sa kanila na yung surplus na 2 million, baka kung sino-sino pa maghahati-hati doon. Try to make it sure na, sasabihin nga nila na magiging dapat technically consistent ka dyan. Hindi ko mo meron kang surplus na 2 million, ilalagay mo na lang yan na, let's say, item, quantity, description, other restoration works. Ayun yung nakalagay sa BOQ. Tapos unit, quantity 1, tapos unit of measurement, LS or lump sum. So doon pala makikita mo na kagad. Yan is parang an open window for corruption or tinatawag na cost padding, something like that. Kailangan pa rin nilang i-dissect yung 2 million na yun para if in case they really want to become technically acceptable. Pero kasi, yeah.
Di ba po kasi nga po grabe po yung politics. So, for instance po, sinilipan po yung project na yun, which is probably halimbawa po sa kalaban ni Mayor sa election, ganun po. Eh di ba po kasi yung nakapirma po sa kontrata yung engineers, mananagot po if ever lang naman po na parang mag-open sila ng case, ganun po. Pwede po bang i-divert ni Mayor po yung yung blame kay engineer, ganun po? May risk po ba na
hindi, meron pa rin siyang accountability doon. Kasi during his term, the awarding of the project happened. So, ibig sabihin, ang tawag doon, merong Latin term doon na ang English meaning is that hindi siya hindi nawawala yung kanyang responsibility although hindi siya pumirma doon kasi nangyari yon during his or her time.
Okay po. So, So, pwede pa rin pong hindi naman po ganun kalaki yung risk kay engineer po. Okay, thank you.
Lalabas pa rin si pangalan ni Mayor doon. Parang what happened to Cherry Antipolo 1999. Medyo masatrack mo kagad yun. Hindi naman si engineer designer na pumirma ng project lang ang nanago. But kasama si Office of the Mayor.
Thank you, sir.
Sir,
yes.
Sa mga clients po, sir, hindi naman po natin mapipili yung ugali ng mga kliyente. So, paano po kapag yung nakuha nyo pong client is medyo arrogante po? Palagi na lang po ba kayo mag-yes sa kanila para hindi po magkaroon ng problem? Or paano po? Kasi po, di ba yung sila yung consumer, tapos paano po yung sa mga ganong clients po?
Yan. Kaya itong subject ito is very important to you. No? So, it does not reflect, although, of course, kasama sa total personality of being a manager, yung, of course, yung iba't ibang virtues na kailangan. However, kailangan kapag ka medyo, appropriate term, medyo stringent ang pakikisama sa kliyente, kailangan mo siyang gagamitan ng knowledge areas. So, yan yung mga next discussion natin, knowledge areas. Na mag-agree kayo or mag-disagree kayo, kaya lang agreeably na parang hindi ka nakikipag-away with them. Tapos you will handle, of course, tactfully yung the way, instruction, ano yung gusto niya deliverables, based doon sa fundamentals of project management pa rin. So being the project manager, sa halimbawa, yung stakeholders engagement, kaya meron tayong stakeholders management doon sa knowledge areas natin. Tapos pagdating doon sa client client relationship natin that's under integration management. So nandoon yun. Kahit hindi ka gusto niyan personally, pero the way the trabaho is being delivered, kumbaga, we will of course perform professionally in a way na medyo acceptable professionally kay owner. Kahit gaano pa siya ka-arrogante, kahit gaano pa siya, still, it's our client, and of course, kailangan din natin iniisip na we have to protect our client kahit ganon. Kaya lang, in a manner na base sa fundamentals ng knowledge areas ng project management.
Tigas ng ano?
Thank you po, sir.
BFG?
Kaya ako sabi ko nga sa'yo, hindi na ako naapektuhan ngayon kahit
Tigas na?
sabihin ng ilang tao. Kasi why? Of course, as long as you know the things that you're doing, kilala nyo sarili nyo, and at the same time, when it comes to the type of work that you are compelling, and that's fine. Yun. Kaya that makes you somehow a parang synergistic type of project managers or professional.
Sir, may last na tanong po ako.
Last na yan Mr. David
Yes, sir. Less serious naman po. Sir, alam niyo po yung, di ba, may mga tao na sasabihin na drawing lang yan, tapos kung mahal-mahal ganun, sir. Di ba, sir, kunyari may project, ganun. Tapos po, kailangan mag-submit ng drawing and other permits sa mayor po, di ba, sir? Paano po ina-handle ng mga mayor, sir, yung, ayun, nung mga nagbibigay ng permit, yung nagsasariling design, sir. Alam niyo yung owner, sir, tapos magpo-post sila sa Facebook. Ay, kami lang gumawa ng plano yan, ganun. Kasi di ba dapat, sir, professional po dapat yung gagawa.
Nakakainis. Nainis ako yung kay... Sino yung isang... Medyo... Hindi.
Sila isa po ata.
O basta, wala akong pakialam sa kanya, Mr. Spirit. Hindi, joke lang. I don't know, no? Kasi, ang bottom line niya, Mr. David, saka Mrs. Spiritu, pagka masaya ka, kay malungkot ka, huwag mong gamitin yung social media just to make humbug of what you have right now. Kasi yun, ganun ko nabasa yung scenario. Ibig sabihin yung why it was posted there, it's because, why? You want to discredit group of people. And you want to, upgrade yourselves. Kasi why? Naging inefficient yung group of people. Sino ba yung tinapatamaan nila doon? Parang yun stop ko doon. Right? Yeah, okay. Bakit ako dami-dami kong nagagawang mabubuting bagay? I just know. Siguro dahil because of the individual difference. Pero I think ako naging standard pamayan ako na. I let other people see by their eye what I achieve in life. Ganun. Kaya lang nakakainis lang. Parang, they're making the social media kaya sumasama yung intuition ng ibang tao, especially yung silent thinking class about the impact of the social media. Kasi nagiging avenue na ng kachipan. Sa akin,
yes, sir.
Hindi nagiging responsible yung tao. So, anong gusto palabasin ni Loisa doon sa drama niyang yun, di ba? Right? Inefficient kasi ganyan-ganito. Pangalawa, pwedeng sabihin niya kasi hindi ako makakuha ng arkitekto. Bakit? Ang mahal pero kaya ko naman palang gawin. Alam mo yun? So what? Diba? So, kailangan mo bang hintay ng 5 years para bumagsak yun? Mga ganun. Diba? Pero syempre, bakit natin kung as a person, bakit natin hihilingin na mangyari sa kanya yun? Diba? Kaya lang,
Yes, sir. Ang hirap nga po kasi ang lakas ng influence nila sa internet na pati po yung mga nasa baba, iniisip nila na sarili na lang po yung gagawa. And parang paano na lang po tayo, sir, nag-aral po tayo ng 4 to 5 years para lang mag-google na lang sila para sa bahay nila, gano'n.
Right. Kaya parang sa akin, kulang sa pansin yung nakakagawa ng gano'n. Na they think that yung social media is the most powerful one. I think nangyayari, however, dapat kahit famous at saka popular yung powerful yung social media, dapat this is binded by the existing laws. Yan ang nakakalimutan ng ay may batas. Tapos pagka hinuli mo, pagka ganito, di ba? Kung ano na naman ang ilalagay sa social media. Kaya believe ako sa mga countries na walang
Teka lang, ano na ba to?
Facebook sa kanila. Nakita nyo, hindi maingay ang buhay nila, something like that. Kaya nga dapat we really have to use modern technology in a very useful way, pero dapat in moderation. Saka besides sa useful things lang. Hindi ko lang, alam mo nga, kung nakita ko lang ng personal yung mga nag-post na yun, alam pa, batukan ko sila ng bakit? Para sabihin lang na, uy, gumising kayo. Nananaginip kayo. Ano ba gusto nyo ipagyabang sa buhay? Ano ba gusto nyo ipagyabang sa tao? Something like that. Then you made this one, hihintayin na lang namin na bumagsak yan para may propose nyo kaya yun? Something like that. I think, whatever things na nangyayari sa'yo, you don't need to make it broadcast naman sa kanay. Yeah, tama yung influence thing na evaluate nyo. Pero ako, whatever it is, I let other people discover what your achievements are and para maging mas papayapa at medyo sa atin ang buhay natin. Yun lang. Kung hindi ako na-recognize, and that's okay. Kasi why? It's not my loss anymore and it's not my kakulangan na anymore. That's okay with me. As long as, sabi nga natin, ang lagi nating focus is to make ourselves quest for the best. And kasi we need that best so that yung sarili natin is an instrument to provide the best service to our ultimate client, which is other people. So yun. So, kung may recognize man, edi thank you. Pagka wala, thank you din. I really don't care. Bakit? Para kasi mas mapayapa buhay. Kasi minsan, kapag popular ka, meron ding negative part yun, yung pagbabash. Kaya nga ginigage ko na lang, again, yung freedom wall uli, something like that.
Thank you po, sir.
So, see you on Tuesday. Joyce, ipopost ko na itong lecture number 2 sa ating FB page para ma-download nyo na kayo.
Thank you po,
Yes po,
sir.
sir. Thank you po, sir.
Thank you po, sir.
Thank you po, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you po.
Thank you po.
Recording stopped.
Sir, thank you po.